once again with myself, your host for today, CornerSpeak, and we're going to be doing things a little bit differently tonight. For those night owls amongst us, we're going to have a little bit of a cruise around the internet and just try and get up to speed with where things are at during this historical period of time. As we all know, there's a lot been going on the political front over there and our cousins in America, and we know we've experienced similar activities during the run-up to the UK elections. Now that's all done and dusted, it's over. This chapter in America is a completely different story. There's many similarities as you can draw. I think we done away, as saying to a mate, we done away with our taking people off the chessboard and assassinations from maybe the Oliver Cromwell periods, if you know anything about British history. So it's fascinating, a bit dramatic, and though it's real, it's very Hollywood for those of us watching from this part of town. So anywho's, what we're going to do is take a little look and see what we have to enlighten ourselves on. Now, I was speaking to a mate today, and I know a little bit about the JFK family. I know more so about Trump's rise from his period as a reality star host. From what I understand, I was told today that he had ambitions of being an actor many moons ago. Kind of reminds me of Reagan. He's sort of doing it in reverse. In Trump's case, he's using his acting skills as part of his campaign itinerary, and it's a very useful ability to have if you're going into politics, to be able to act, not only to just paint a narrative to your audience. It's also a way to communicate, get your story across. You can throw a little spice and entertainment alongside the truth, debatable as it may be, from some people's point of view. It keeps things interesting because, I believe it's a human instinct to want to be entertained and to gravitate towards those who are more charismatic amongst us. Now, I won't credit myself to be somebody who has those skills in any great quantity, although I do understand, we are drawn to energy and passion and, the less robotic approach to communication. So what we'll start off with, I think, one other thing. I'm going to try, I don't want to bore you with just me on every live stream. I'm going to try and see if I can bring somebody in, if not into the stream, if I can get some interaction on the commentary board, and then it'll break up the perspective a little bit. I want to hear from other people's points of view. So if anybody stumbles on this stream and you want to participate, any of the videos I'm clipping catch your interest, or you have some insight to offer up to the community, feel free. Jump on the comments. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook simultaneously, although I can only take comments at the moment on YouTube. So if you're by your phone, tablet or any type of digital device, please log on to the stream and then give me your 2 pennies worth. I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow with knowledge, and I'm here to share what I know, even if it's fresh to the plate. So to kick off, an old mate of mine sent me a link for this platform, Bit Chute. Now, I've heard of it before, though I've never actually checked out any of its content. So he sent me, more to the point, a video entitled Fall of the Cabal. Now, there are various parts to this content. I think the one I have is titled Part 9, though there's a specific reason why I'm going to clip this one or play some excerpts for you. It relates to, in large part, what's going on now in America, the political race. It tells us a bit about the JFK family, more so the one that's currently participating in the race as an independent, I think, because he's not getting backing from his party. We're talking about JFK Jr. and the relation in terms of their ideology, if you can call it that, because Trump, I wouldn't say he's that ideological, just say their point of view politically and what they think they can do for the country, which is the US of A, United States of America. So let's take it from the beginning, and I'm not gonna make you watch the whole thing. We'll see if we can grab some highlights or useful excerpts. Here we go.
Arose on October 28, 2017.
Right.
Little did we know that a new era had started.
I don't regard myself as a conspiracy theorist, although sometimes trying to keep an open mind, it does pay to, leave the door open to other ways of looking at things. And history does change over time, so don't dismiss this offhand. Just let's see where
something big, something massive started unfolding before our very eyes, but most people remained completely in the dark. Through the cue drops, hints, clues and questions were planted like seeds, waiting for humanity to be picked up, researched and unraveled. Bit by bit, we, the people, woke up. Using other means than the mainstream media, the QAnons started communicating with each other through Facebook, Twitter and other social media. The same social media that was set.
Now you may ask yourself, what has this got to do with Trump's assassination attempt, the American presidential race and this, that and the other? You'll see as it unfolds, not so much on the conspiracy theory side of it, just on the side of, you may know as time unfolds, there's certain information, maybe it starts off as being classified, and I think it's 50 years or so, they start to reveal stuff. So as far as the truth that's being revealed to the public now, we'll probably be hearing from that stuff in the next 50 or so years. Things that happened 50 years ago, now is probably being revealed to us. So let's see what they have to say.
By the cabal to monitor the people 24/7 were now used to find each other and to spread news and findings. There was no stopping us anymore. People in France went out into the streets in yellow vests, showing President Macron that they no longer complied. What started off with small groups evolved into mass protests. For over a year now, tens of thousands of people have been gathering every Saturday. Not just in France, but in Spain, Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden, Bulgaria, Turkey, Poland, Hungary, Taiwan,
it's not that
Australia, Iraq, Israel. The mainstream media tried to make people believe it was just a fading phenomenon, but the people saw through their lies. George Soros then intervened in his own special way. He paid his people to mingle with the yellow vests and start.
Yeah, now we've all heard about George Soros, billionaire and backer, more so on the left side. From what I understand, he's funded a lot of Democrats in their campaigns and help them to navigate being selected in various states. And he's also managed to get a lot of they say because they say he's the financial backer, and he's managed to get a lot of them in DA seats. He's managed to get a lot of them elected as DAs in many American states. And as you know, the person who controls the judiciary has a lot of power, and they can direct the movement of social change. And this is where his name rings a bell. So
riots. the ever-successful way to discredit a group of protesters with peaceful intentions, made them look like vandals and aggressors. Soros's rats attacked the police, but this strategy didn't work either. His rats were not very smart. They forgot to put on yellow vests, and in the heat of the fight, they shouted, "Paris! Paris! Antifa!" Then they forgot who they were supposed to attack, so they went for the yellow vests as well. Macron got scared.
I would just want to let everybody know at this point that I can actually receive comments from YouTube, Facebook and Twitch. So if you happen to be watching us on any of those platforms, please do send in your comments.
Told the French police to strike down the protests with all means necessary. But the police officers took off their helmets in solidarity with the yellow vests. What else could the cabal do? Use extreme violence. Army forces were deployed. Snipers were put on rooftops to shoot at the yellow vests if necessary. Thousands of people got injured. People died. France is in the middle of a civil war, but the mainstream media remains silent. 23 yellow vests have died for believing in a better world. South America too shows massive protests, where people demand their corrupt governments to step down. The world is experiencing the biggest revolution ever.
Okay. Gremlins in the world.
The worst nightmare of the cabal has come true. The people have woken up.
I'm going to fast forward this a bit.
And contrary to other revolutions that humanity went through in the past,
there's a certain section that I'm more interested in, and it's this bit where they talk about
President Trump gave clues in his speeches that pointed to events that were about to unfold, but most people didn't even notice them.
Right, now
the mainstream media made fun of them, but
CNN.
The QAnons recognized them and realized just how brilliant Q really was. Let me give you a few examples. In the middle of a press conference in November 2017.
Okay, folks, I'm waiting for them comments to start coming in. Please feel free and like the video and speak your mind.
Trump stopped a few times to take a sip of water from a small plastic bottle. It seemed weird, completely overdone. He repeated this a month later in the middle of a talk about national security. He held the glass with two hands like a child. The mainstream media went hysterical, claiming the president was either retarded or suffering from some degenerative disease. The QAnons, however, knew immediately that he was pointing out something. The water bottle contained Fiji water. Fiji water is bottled on the Isle of Wakanda. In 1973, Wakanda was bought by a Canadian businessman, David Gilmour.
Although,
in 1996,
to my recollection, it's a fictional place.
He founded Fiji Waters. In 2016, Claire Bronfman, heiress to the multi-billion-dollar Seagram liquor fortune, bought 80% of Wakanda from Gilmour and financed the setup of Nexium on the island. Exactly, the sex cult run by Keith Raniere, who branded his initial into the women that he kept on the island as sex slaves, who were lured in by sweet-faced Alison Mack, the Smallville actress.
Right, we got our first comment of the live, and this is coming from, who have we got here? Marshall Law. Hey, Marshall, thank you for participating. And I'll just, full disclosure, just like to reveal to the audience, Marshall Law is the said guy who sent me this link this evening and put me onto this other perspective on some of the history leading up to where Trump is today, how JFK comes into the mix, besides the fact that his relative was also assassinated, and why there's a similarity. I don't know how many of you know that there was a dispute about giving him Secret Service security details during his he's running in the election campaign, so he went to court to see if he can be assigned a detail because he's at risk. And I think the system says that if you're not a previous president, just as a person standing for election, you are not yet entitled to a state-funded security services detail. So I think since what happened last weekend, that has changed now, and they realized the gravity of these things. Also, I heard about Trump security detail that they were not the A-team, if in fact they were security service at all. I commented to my mate here, martial law, that I believe at that stage you really want to go with your own team, your own crew, because if the person you're campaigning against and trying to beat in the election, if they're in control of the people who are there to support and secure your security, do you really want to roll your dice on that? You decide for yourself. So let's get back
started rolling. Arrests were made, and in April 2019, Brunier was found guilty on all charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking. Some of his victims were minors.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with what martial law has just suggested, that there isn't a real need to just focus simply on conspiracy theories, because there's so many of them. Let's just look at this as information. There's logic within the the information and how it's being presented, and we can weigh these facts up. There's always facts in amongst the fiction and emotions. He also says here, JFK, Iran, Contra, to name but two. I've heard of both those groups, and I'm not sure about the Contra. The Iran regime is definitely not a friend of the USA, Biden or Trump. And recently we've been told that since Trump's assassination of their head military person in a drone attack, they've had plans to get payback with President Trump. And with all of that information in the open, it's quite surprising that they hadn't beefed up Trump's security. Although more information is going to come out over time as far as that is concerned. Martial law also says Wakanda is the Black Panther. Yes, this is the first thing that came to mind. Wakanda, the Black Panther movie. Wasn't it fictional? Wait a minute. Here. Let me get myself into this conversation.
Claire Bronfman and her sister Sarah pleaded guilty on all charges, as did Alison Mack. More incriminating things will come to the surface soon. Nexium donated a large amount of money to the Clinton Foundation. Claire Bronfman was CEO of a company called Bronfman Rothschild, as was Evelyn Rothschild and his wife Lynn. Remember them from the previous episodes? Isn't it fascinating how the same key players keep popping up? There's one more disturbing thing about this case, which involves the Dalai Lama. In May 2009, the Bronfman sisters organized an event with the Dalai Lama in Albany. There was a lot of criticism towards the Dalai Lama. How could he connect his good name with a sex cult? But he decided to go anyway. 10 days after the event, the Dalai Lama Trust was founded. According to its tax filings, the trust received 2.2 million...
Let me pause this for just a moment. Martial law, is there a certain section of this video to not have to draw everybody through the whole thing? I'm gonna leave the link in the description, so if you want to follow it up and watch the full video in your own time, you can do. Is there a particular section, timestamp, that we can watch it from, if there's a certain message you think is most valuable for the viewers to have a listen to?
Dollars in donations in its first year. Was the Dalai Lama bought to connect himself to Nexium? According to an inside Nexium member, this was indeed the case. the Dalai Lama's office and the Bronfman sisters denied the allegation. Now that this has come out into the open, it would be nice if the Dalai Lama would at least explain why he went along with the sex cult or apologize. But instead, he blames Trump on unethical behavior. Now, why was the Fiji case so important? Nexium will soon turn out to be just a small fish compared to what's coming. Think crimes against children.
Right, I'm going to fast forward this.
She wore a coat with the text, "I really don't care, do you?"
Okay.
It was a strange choice, for the coat wasn't fashionable at all, and the text was quite...
This...
When Trump met Vladimir Putin on July 16, 2018, Trump openly asked the audience, "Where is the server? Where are the servers? They are missing. Where are they? What happened to Hillary's emails? 33,000 emails. They're gone. Just gone. I think it's a disgrace." Remember the scene with the soccer ball? Putin handed Trump the ball and said, "The ball is now in your court." Trump took the ball and said, "This will go to my son,
This is very
Barron."
interesting.
He then threw the ball to Melania.
Now I'm going to move on from this video. Just want to read out something martial law just informed us of. And I knew a bit about this as far as the American CIA did a deal with the Contra rebels. They couldn't deal with them directly, obviously. And they had to go through the back door and exchange weapons for cocaine, which obviously can be converted into pounds, dollars and pence. And that's how they were able to fund, I suppose, some of their campaigns and things that were less than what they needed to be in the public domain, I'm guessing. So it says the Iran-Contra affair was where the conspiracy fact where the CIA gave the Contra rebels guns in exchange for cocaine, which they then gave to Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, yes, not the rapper. Also, this is the important bit. Don't fast forward, go back. Okay, I'm going to take the video back to, see if I can find it myself. Right, there's a blue pill, red pill section. I'll take it from there. Martial law, let me know if I need to go further back.
Red pilling the people. A term coined in the movie The Matrix. Do you want the blue pill or the red pill? If you choose the red pill, you will be shown the truth, and there's no way back. Here's another example of Trump's brilliant strategy. In June 2017, Melania boarded the presidential plane on her way to visit a youth detention center with Mexican migrant children who had been separated from their parents. She wore a coat with the text, "I really don't care, do you?" It was a strange choice, for the coat wasn't fashionable at all, and the text was quite provocative, to say the least.
Now, what was that message she was trying to convey in through fashion?
Then the mainstream media went into a frenzy, but the QAnons knew the Trumps were giving yet another clue. The coat turned out to be a Zara product. An investigation made clear that Zara made use of slave labor.
10 minutes in. We'll watch this and then we'll move on to another video.
On her way to visit a youth detention center with Mexican migrant children who had been separated from their parents. She wore a coat with the text, "I really don't care, do you?" It was a strange choice, for the coat wasn't fashionable at all, and the text was quite provocative, to say the least. Once again, the mainstream media went into a frenzy, but the QAnons knew the Trumps were giving yet another clue. The coat turned out to be a Zara product. An investigation made clear that Zara made use of slave labor. As a result, Armancio Ortega, founder and CEO of Zara, resigned 6 months after Melania's action. Yet another clue that was being given by Melania was the fact that these children were not separated from their parents, but saved from child traffickers. More than 8.5...
Now, I'll just stop for a moment because this is something that was brought to my attention via martial law today. And I think it's probably one of the, I mean, there's a whole host of things where you could credit Trump with doing something positive, and obviously in mainstream media, that isn't the narrative we get to hear. So this is something that you don't hear spoken about too much. There's a movie about this that came out about nearly a year ago now. From what I understand, it was a brilliant piece of movie directing, and they almost shut it down for one reason or another. I'm guessing it's a subject that in politics they just don't want to bring to the surface and talk about. Let's continue.
1,000 CEOs resigned over the last 2 years, many for unclear reasons, just like you had predicted. Was Trump indeed draining the swamp like he had promised? One of Q's crumbs that was repeated several times was, "We have the server." It quite clearly referred to Hilary Clinton's server, the one she tried so hard to destroy before it would be used against her in a court of law. But how did the Q team lay their hands on it? The clue was given in Helsinki, Finland, when Trump met Vladimir Putin on July 16, 2018. Trump openly asked the audience, "Where is the server? Where are the servers? They are missing. Where are they? What happened to Hillary's emails? 33,000 emails. They're gone. Just gone. I think it's a disgrace." Remember the scene with the soccer ball? Putin handed Trump the ball and said, "The ball is now in your court." Trump took the ball and said, "This will go to my son, Baron." He then threw the ball to Melania. What was so special about the ball? Why the big smiles and the twinkling in their eyes? What was going on here? And why did Melania post a tweet with this picture later that year? Many QAnons agree on the theory.
Yes, that's exactly the film I'm talking about. It came out nearly a year ago now, and it was to do with child X thing. And for some reason, I mean, there was this massive debate on social media, even some viral videos where some very well-known celebrities and public figures / activists, even Hollywood stars, were pretty much saying, you know, don't go and watch the video. It's conveying a negative message and all kinds of strange things. And there was debates. I remember watching on a few of the legacy networks asking, well, why would anyone be trying to shut down this movie? The guy who starred in it was an ex-DEA detective, from what I understand, who worked for many years in this department, saved lives, and it was largely based on his experiences. And they were bringing it to the world. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, they attempted to shut it down. Strange.
That the content of the servers was inside that soccer ball, containing enough incriminating evidence to put a lot of people in Washington, D.C. behind bars for life. Try evidence for the Uranium One scandal, where Hilary Clinton, as Secretary of State, and with knowledge and approval of President Obama, gave Russia control of 20% of America's uranium by approving the Rosatom deal. The Russian company Rosatom had bought the Canadian company Uranium One in 2010, 3 years after the latter had purchased Eurasia, owned...
That's it. It was called, jog my memory, Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom, if that rings a bell. If not, excuse me, you can look that up.
Frank Justra, our friend with the pedophile logo from part 4. Remember? Justra had officially stepped down after the purchase, so why did he donate $145 million to the Clinton Foundation right after the Rosatom deal was signed? Why on earth was he too embraced by the Dalai Lama? Why the hell did he get the Dalai Lama Humanitarian Award when he is involved up to his ears in child trafficking?
Now,
why did Bill Clinton receive $500,000 for a talk in Moscow right after the Rosatom deal?
Video.
Some people overact.
Sent my way. Hold on.
It was announced.
Let me cue it
Do
up
you know
first.
what we're looking at here? Bribery, corruption, pay to play, money laundering, and high treason. This was the real Russian collusion. Oh, by the way, why did Trump say the soccer ball was going?
Actually, penny just dropped here. So this was the original cause of the Russiagate, Russia collusion thingamajig that they used to try and take down President Trump. That was later debunked, although they invested millions and carried it on mainstream media as a verified fact for probably up to 4 years. And then it kind of just quietly went away when the other side to the story came up, and it was, I understand, debunked to a large extent. I didn't realize this was the origins.
On Barron. According to insiders, Barron is extremely intelligent with an IQ of 146. He is said to be incredible with computers, especially when it comes to hacking, cracking codes, passwords.
Okay, we're gonna look at this second video, still entitled The Fall of the Cabal, and see what insights it can throw up. And then I'm gonna move on in a bit and see what's going on out there.
The migrant caravan that headed to the southern border
With some of today's stories, because a whole heap of things have changed in just a few days. So let's go.
the US in April 2018 was covered by the media big time. According to the official reports, these people came mostly from Honduras, where the caravan had started, and then people from Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua and Mexico joined the march. The main reasons for them to flee their home country were gang violence and poverty. When I saw the first pictures, I was shocked. But then I realized there were just too many images of women and children, which is always a sign of media manipulation and a hidden political agenda. Always.
And that's an interesting fact. When they start highlighting and making the bulk of the pictures shown in the media made up of women and children, and they're telling a story, what is the reason for that? I never really considered that that was a sort of propaganda technique. Useful information.
Critical thinkers like the QAnons studied the pictures closely. Too many things did not add up.
Right,
like I said in part 1, these people had to walk for 45 miles a day.
A lot of this I did see covered at the time in the media, although I'm sure I'm going to learn many a new fact on this from this story.
Corruption. And whether you like it or not, the task to get there has been put in the hands of Donald J. Trump. Now, normally when I say this to people, I get the most vicious looks. Thanks to the mainstream media, the majority of the Dutch people believe Trump to be a narcissistic dictator.
That's what we're told.
But hey, let's talk some facts here, shall we? Trump went to North Korea. He'll start a nuclear war, the media shouted. But he came back with peace. 6 million new jobs have been created under Trump. Lowest unemployment rate since 50 years.
Actually,
more than 4 million people off for food stamps. Trump openly attacked Big Pharma. He created the biggest tax cuts ever for all social classes. He is the only American president ever to work for free. He signed an executive order to clean the oceans. Did you hear about that on the news?
Is it more audible?
No. For some reason, the mainstream media have a political agenda of their own. But more about that later. From my point of view, one of the most important priorities of Trump is to protect the children. Right after his inauguration, he stated that his administration would focus on ending the horrific practice of human trafficking, also referred to as modern slavery. On December 21, 2017, he signed an executive order blocking the property of people involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption. More executive orders followed to protect victims of human trafficking. A huge campaign was deployed to educate parents and children about the dangers of human trafficking.
It's a big subject globally in our era.
Throughout 2018 and 19, many arrests took place. Thousands of child molesters were arrested. Thousands of victims were rescued. Trump keeps emphasizing that most victims are smuggled into the country through the southern border. He shows numbers, statistics. He made January Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Now you don't hear much about that.
He informed the people about MS-13, a criminal gang responsible for raping and killing many American citizens.
That we have heard of.
He swore he would take them down to the last member. He keeps emphasizing the drugs problem and the billions of dollars plus the countless lives it costs each year. He keeps pleading for a wall, anything to reduce the drugs and human trafficking numbers as much as possible. But the mainstream media keep twisting his words, making it sound like immigrants aren't welcome. I've watched these interviews time and again, and I can assure you that according to President Trump, immigrants are most welcome, but they have to come in legally. The funny thing is, Bill Clinton...
I'm going to pause at this point, and martial law, I hope you're going to stick around for the next part of this stream, because what I want to do is, firstly, I'm going to touch on briefly some of the reporting entitled "What They Don't Want You to See" about the Trump assassination attempt. So just briefly have a look at this. This is a channel called Courageous Media.
We see him. He's crawling.
Let me just turn it up a bit for you.
Next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this.
I saw this story from the BBC straight
5
away.
shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police from the Secret
So
we were telling the police, we were pointing at...
They knew this guy was up on the roof. At least the police did. They knew he had a weapon. They saw it was pointed towards Trump. From what I understand, a member of the local police climbed up a ladder, saw the guy eye to eye, didn't have his weapon because his hands was, maneuvering himself on the ladder for his own safety. He climbed back down and the guy returned to his previous position, aiming the rifle but in Trump's direction. No communication between one section of law enforcement and another. No emergency sirens or signals to end the rally. Trump was allowed to carry on speaking. Somebody will come up with an explanation for that, I'm sure. I want to move on to return to the black conservative perspective. And he's done a story today. This one's about the protest that's been taking place. The anti-Biden protest. As Trump flips another state, as he puts it. See what we can grasp from this. Bear with me. Right, let's try that again. Some gremlins in the works. By the way, there was a massive global IT outage, from what I understand, yesterday onwards, and well, that could have something to do with the gremlins I'm experiencing on my system right now. Hopefully, it can be resolved. Or not. Right, the internet's usually fine here, but you can't always control these things. Okay, bit of an issue there. We'll return to that momentarily. What I'm gonna go to now is this story on where is it again? Agent undercover at... Okay, this is news. FBI agent undercover at Trump rally. First I'm hearing of that. Gonna go to Officer Tatum.
No, watch this, dude. Watch.
See what he's got to tell us.
She sits down. Yep. Watch this. Puts the sign up.
Take a look at what happened.
Shots fall off.
She's completely normal.
Oh, just before we continue on, I just want to read out what martial law has brought to us about the movie, the Child Tifakin movie. David Straight says he worked with Trump to go and bomb tunnels that these sex traffickers used to smuggle children. But obviously that's hearsay, of course, as most of these things are until verified. Although you can look him up on YouTube and listen. Most definitely, I'm going to do some research into that. Very interesting. Okay, we'll go back to Officer Tatum's...
And then watch.
And then
channel.
What the What the fuck? People are freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
Oh, wow. So you're telling me this lady was an undercover FBI agent and she had a camera and she's videoing the whole thing while it was taking place, and they've got her there in the crowd. Where are the other FBI agents ready to move into action once this thing happens? Wow.
She's not even freaking the fuck out. What the f? No.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to help y'all. I love you, all my conservative family out here. I love you, but you gotta stop sharing this video. I'm gonna debunk it all, so you have no excuse. Stop claiming that this lady was a part of the assassination attempt. Stop claiming that she worked for the... Right,
so there's probably a degree of untruth in this claim and this video. That's one thing I like about Black conservative perspective and Officer Tatum. They'll come out of a story and they will be clear about its confirmation if they're fresh off the press with the news, and they'll follow it up and make it clear if it's actually was not a genuine story and debunk it in real time if necessary. Yes, go.
Government, you are going to get your socks sewed off. It's called defamation. I'm going to show you why it's not the woman. Please, oh please, quit doing it before you owe millions of dollars to this lady.
Right, so it's not true. Well, we're doing this live in real time. So...
Introducing the hide and seek from Bellroy. A traditional wallet on the outside, it hides a few tricks on.
This video is brought to you by Angel Studios' adventurous cartoon series. Taxpayers are because it comes out who she really is, and there are content creators that are saying that this woman is coordinating with the shooter, and it comes to find out that she isn't. She can sue all of y'all because she's probably going to get death threats and everything if people actually think she's a part of the incident. And there's a person working in the government that people think is her. These are two different women. I'm going to show you a picture of them so you know that these are two different women.
Shout out to Officer Tatum and the Black conservative perspective.
Because she's going to sue you and you're going to owe millions of dollars because people are probably already sending that lady death threats. And I'm not doing this to be cool. I'm doing this because I want to save y'all. Let me play this first video and then I'm going to debunk what the person says in this video. The problem with videos like this is because when you put them and you zoom in, you don't get a full picture and spectrum, and I'm going to show you why the person is wrong. Now, full disclosure, when I first saw this, I said 100% this woman is involved, 100%. I told my wife 100%. She goes, you sure? I said 100%. She said, baby, you need to look into this so you don't get out there and say the wrong thing. So I went and looked at multiple angles, and I realized I was wrong, and I want to share it with you guys so you don't get caught up. All right.
Okay.
Roll the clip.
No, watch this, dude. Watch. Watch. She sits down. Yep. Watch this. Puts the sign up.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
Shots fall off.
She's completely normal. And then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the f? What the fuck? People are freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
Now I gotta tell you, the first time I saw this, I believe
shit,
everything
dude.
you
Watch.
said. And let's watch it again because I need to.
I'm gonna do something slightly different right about now. We're gonna come back to this story. I'm a big believer of self-motivation and the ability to turn things around. And also, if you're born in one set of circumstances, that doesn't necessarily determine the whole of your life story. So somebody sent me something today, which I thought was quite inspiring. I'm not particularly religious. I wouldn't call myself a Christian as such, although I was brought up in that type of environment. There was a message I took from this video that I found quite inspiring. So I'm just going to play you a brief section of it, and then we'll return to the Officer Tatum video. All right, let me just get this to where it needs to go. Oh, 1 minute. Sending it to the wrong device. Okay, bear with me. Technology works most of the time. Alright, let's go again. Share. Click this, click that. Send to iPad. We really have got the gremlins in the works today. All of this that normally works like clockwork, today it doesn't really want to do what it's supposed to. Could it have something to do with IT outage? The last 48 hours? Oh, here we go.
The Prophet ﷺ said he is not a believer who goes to sleep.
Okay. Nah, I want to show you this guy's statement, story.
I followed that same pattern. Unfortunately, I was to a point where...
We'll take it to the beginning.
My name is Ashton Lang.
Okay.
I was born in America, but raised in the Bahamas. Came back to America, and came from a very dysfunctional family. My father was a drug dealer and ended up on crack cocaine, so on and so forth. I followed that same pattern. Unfortunately,
had an easy life.
I was to a point where I was eating out of garbages. I was in mental institutions, walking around the streets of America in Miami barefoot. I wouldn't shower for near months. You name it, been through it. I've been kidnapped 3 different times, taken out into the woods, beaten, so on and so forth, but God. However, I was raised in a Christian home, even though there was still a seed, a righteous seed. And then the Bible says, and the Bible tells us that before you was in your mother's womb, I knew you, and I ordained you a prophet unto the nations. And so, he said, train up a child in...
Like I said, I'm not trying to push a particularly religious message on anybody or anything like that. Occasionally, I'm somebody who will have, let's say, a spiritual outlook in a more kind of universal believe there's something bigger than my little self, although I don't aspire to any particular faith as such. I try and judge people and situations from how they come at me at these mature years. So what I'm taking from this guy's story is just the inspiration and the fact that as human beings with our humanity, at times we can at times turn things around if we have the drive, a little bit of self-made luck, and other things.
Where she going in the end but not the past. So I knew to run back to him. So in 2020, I ran into prison. And I said, okay, God, I need you. Well, from 2020 to 2022, I was fighting, but I was zealous and passionate. However, Paul talks about being zealous but without knowledge. And so even though there were people in my family, sincerely, they didn't have what was needed. So in 2022, after falling down and getting back up and falling down and getting back up, I came to the end of myself. I said, God, something has to change. I'm desiring in you. You know what I mean? Sometimes we follow that pattern. I'm jumping, I'm sowing seeds, bam, bam, bam. Nothing just working. I keep on falling down. But one day, my girlfriend at the time, she said, babe, I need you in 2022. She said, I want you to listen to someone. And I was like, who you need me to listen to now? Note that this is in prison. This isn't on this. I'm not on TV or I'm watching TV. This is in prison. And she said, this is an African preacher. I said, man, I don't want to hear no African preacher right now, man. And so she says, no, babe, I'm telling you, from the minute I heard Apostle Joshua's voice.
All right. See, what I'm taking from this is simply inspiration. So go back to the Officer Tatum video.
Dude, watch.
See what they're telling us.
She sits down. Yep. Watch this. Puts the sign up.
Take a look at what happened.
Shots go off.
She's completely normal. And then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the f? What the fuck? People are freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there. She's not even freaking the f out. What the f? No.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to help y'all. I love you, all my conservative family out here. I love you, but you gotta stop sharing this video. I'm gonna debunk it all, so you have no excuse. Properly do it. That.
Okay.
Watch this video. Look at the evidence that I show you. Put common sense together and stop sharing this video about this woman, because it comes out who she really is, and there are content creators that are saying that this woman is coordinating with the shooter, and it comes to find out that she isn't. She can sue all of y'all because she's probably going to get death threats and everything if people actually think she's a part of the incident. And there's a person working in the government that people think is her. These are two different women. I'm going to show you a picture of them so you know that these are two different women. Stop saying that woman that worked for the government is this lady, because she's going to sue you and you're going to owe millions of dollars. Because people are probably already sending that lady death threats. And I'm not doing this to be cool. I'm doing this because I want to save y'all. Internet. Let me play this first video, and then I'm going to debunk what the person says in this video. The problem with videos like this is because when you put them and you zoom in, you don't get a full picture and spectrum, and I'm going to show you why the person is wrong. Now, full disclosure, when I first saw this, I said 100% this woman is involved, 100%. I told my wife 100%. She goes, you sure? I said 100%. She said, baby, you need to look into this so you don't get out there and say the wrong thing. So I went and looked at multiple angles, and I realized I was wrong, and I want to share it with you guys so you don't get caught up. All right, roll the clip.
No, watch this, dude. Watch. Watch. She sits down. Yep. Watch this. Puts the sign up.
Take a look at what happened.
Shots go off.
She's completely normal. And then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the f? What the fuck? People are.
You see how easy it is to do. I was almost jumping to conclusions the first time I saw this clip.
Freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
Now I gotta tell you, the first time I saw this, I believe
shit, dude. Watch.
Said. And let's watch it again because I'm gonna start debunking a few things at a time.
No, watch this, dude. Watch. Watch. She sits down. Yep. Watch this. Puts the sign up.
First of all, she did not put the sign up. We'll find out that's not her sign. She didn't put that sign up. People are saying that she saluted. the guy to give him an indication. When you look at it closely, actually, she's fixing her glasses.
I just think there's so much going on at the moment, so much speculation, so many facts that aren't fully being revealed at this stage, because, you know, information still has to be gathered, and people are really fired up and ready to rush to conclusion just to, you know, kind of support their particular narrative. So, yeah, he's right. This is a time where we want to pause for the cause as far as we can until more information comes through. At the same time, you can't blame people for occasionally speculating.
Said, take a look at what happened.
Shots go off.
She's completely normal. And then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the f? What the f? People are.
And it looks crazy, but let me show you the other angle because it explains it. Her behavior is slightly weird, but it's not weird in the context of what everybody else is doing. And I think that people should kind of recognize that. Okay, I'm gonna show you this video first, and then I'm gonna go to another video. This is the clearest video that I can get that's this long.
I just want to pause things for a moment. Martial law brings up a very interesting fact, and this one almost passed me by, and it's the fact that Donald Trump had actually had other assassination attempts, which I was completely unaware of. I thought this was a first, and that's why it was such a dramatic historical moment in time. Unbeknownst to me, he's had attempts before. And he says here, all starting when he beat Hilary Clinton in the election after she was exposed as a criminal via the email scandal that was quite quickly and quietly brushed under the carpet. And till today, I think she hasn't got over losing that election, which again is understandable because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and it passed her by. She overestimated her ability to win, probably got a little overconfident, and Trump, as the contender, swooped in and took the throne from her. So, yeah, it doesn't totally surprise me that there were other assassination attempts on his life in the past. It's just this one happened almost with the internet and everything in front of everybody's eyes, so to speak. And he goes on to say, it was actually in one of the videos I shared earlier at the start. So I'm going to do another show going into more detail as far as the Q theories are concerned and some of the background to Trump's rise to fame, the battle to sort of keep him out of politics, and some of the people who've gone out of their way to destroy the guy. And that's just me trying to stay centered here. We're going to do some more stories and try and produce as much factual information as possible, and maybe even get martial law, seeing as he's knowledgeable in this department, get him on one of the shows and he can break things down.
I'm going to prove to you real quick that this is not her holding this sign. See that hand? That's the person below her that's holding this sign, okay? And I want you to pay attention to a few other people in the picture. She's not the only one that's kind of bizarrely responding to this.
Happened.
See, this guy is not responding. This guy is not really moving. Just pay attention to them too. Just as well as she's not reacting right away. See, he's still standing up. He's not moving.
I noticed the guy with that hat.
This guy's beginning to move. They're beginning. She's just sitting there. People are shocked. So she's not the only one that has this weird delayed response. Dang, I'm in the way. That has this weird delayed response.
I mean, it was a shock to everyone, I guess.
She went down. He's still standing up.
Yeah.
Now, she does have her phone out. She is the only person I see with her phone out. But clearly, after we see all the other video footage, she's not the only person that had her phone out in the grand scheme of things.
I'd just like to send a big shout out to Martial Law. Thank you so much for sending us those videos today and all the information and knowledge you've brought to the table. Much appreciated.
Only person I see here. So I'm going to play it back just a little bit, and then we're going to walk through a couple other common sense things. It's not her sign. She fixed her glasses. She didn't.
Let me just add to that. Martial law is somebody who studies law in the community, and I do believe he has his own website and channel, and he's available to offer some guidance and in some cases help to people who have issues they need resolving, and people seeking some impartial legal advice and how they can help themselves. So yeah, he's a guy you can reach out to. I'll try and get some of his contact details or links to his socials in the descriptions and of this video, and we'll see him again.
Salute the guy, and then here is other reactions.
Take a look at what happened.
That's when it all goes off.
Now, let's put the common sense hat on. This guy is at 150 yards. Look at all these people here. Look at how many people have signs. You gotta be crazy to think that a guy looking through iron sights or whatever he was looking through is somehow focusing on her cues and Donald Trump at the same time. It's not happening. He wouldn't need her to give cues because he can't focus on her cue if he's trying to focus on hitting him in the head at 150 yards.
Wow.
I just want to put that in perspective. I'm not trying to belittle anybody. I just want you to think about it. The possibility of this guy finding that woman in the crowd somewhere with all of these.
Let me just quickly clarify that statement. As you'll see on the screen, martial law offers no legal advice, although he does offer lawful advice. So we like to be clear here on this channel.
People with signs and everything, and also pinpointing Trump at 150 yards to take a shot at him is completely ridiculous. We do know.
Officer Statham, going by his name, he comes from the law enforcement community, handles firearms. He's a legal firearms carrier. So when he gives his commentary on these subjects, it's coming from personal experience, I would assuming.
That the parents had made mention that he was missing. People, they had identified him being suspicious of walking around. And I think common sense will tell you that he was scoping out how he wanted to do it. I don't think he pre-planned it. I think he was doing it on the spot. He see a building, I'm gonna go climb on that building. He probably went back to his truck to get the gun. He came back out. He got up on the building.
This is interesting. Now,
and he tried to take a shot on him.
I don't think
you need any coordination. You don't need any thumbs ups and green lights and all this other stuff. You don't need none of that to accomplish that, and it's dangerous, impossible, and pointless for him to actually do that. Now you see that it wasn't her sign.
Internet.
So she didn't put the sign in front of her face.
Yes, see.
And she wasn't the only one that was slow to react and all of this stuff.
Possible,
only thing that was kind of interesting that she pulled her phone out so quickly.
Conservative perspective.
That's no here nor there.
Back up.
All right, let's go on to the fact that she ain't that FBI lady or that lady in the government.
I mean, there was also something I'd like to just. I can just spend
now
a minute
it's time
on.
For Lefties Losing It, and the TV Lefty Looney cult is back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the cult of MSNBC, and of course their chief loon.
When it comes to the legendary known Trump derangement syndrome, as a matter of fact, I want to look up that word. I know what it means to me. I want to see what the official definition of that is. Trump derangement syndrome. It's a term that's only come along since Donald Trump has been on the scene. Right. Yes. See if I can let's see if I can share my screen on this one somehow. Right. Give me a moment.
Joy Reid, who has compared Joe Biden being diagnosed with COVID to, wait for it, Trump surviving an assassination attempt.
Donald Trump is an elderly man who for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength.
Right. So let's have a look. Trump derangement syndrome. It's regarded as, can I get that any bigger? I'll tell you how I'll do this. Bear with me. Right. Just do a little tweak here. A little tweak there. Open it back up. Right. Okay. So, Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome, also known as TDS, is a pejorative term, usually for criticism or negative reactions to former United States President Donald Trump that are perceived to be irrational and to have little regards towards Trump's actual policy positions or actions undertaken by his administration. Now, that's very interesting because prior to President Trump coming on the scene, that terminology didn't even exist. Let me see if I can read it out again. This time the lazy man's way.
Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, is a pejorative term, usually for criticism or negative reactions to former United States President Donald Trump that are perceived to be irrational and to have little regard towards Trump's actual policy positions or actions undertaken by his administration.
Yes. Now, we all know what that means in future when the reference to it comes up again.
The current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fined?
Oh my goodness. Now, this young lady in the pink and the blonde hair, she has a lot to answer for. She's full-time on the derangement campaign.
Couple of days. Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
Yes, you really did hear that right. A cold, of course, is absolutely the same as getting shot. And that was the moment Joy Reid sunk so low into the realms of insanity. Now to our friends over at The View, specifically Whoopi Goldberg, or Poopy Goldberg, as she's now known.
I have poopy days all the time.
Okay. Well, she is back in the habit of Trump alarmism.
It's up to each and every person in this audience to make sure you get out there and vote. And no, you can't lay by the wayside and say, I'm going to let somebody else do it.
You know what? I was always a big fan of hers, And since Donald Trump came around and I've watched The View, I used to watch it a lot. It just became so one-sided. I mean, okay, Fox is far to that side. View is so far to the other side. If they're not careful, they're going to come full circle, past the people on the right and then not back on the left again. So, yeah, somebody commented that they act based on emotion, not facts. So that's an explanation, and it's part of the human condition.
Because this requires you recognizing that we're all in danger here.
Danger!
We're in danger.
Oh, she's so stressed.
Holy moly.
Trump has really broken.
Gonna try and see if we can bring this one up. Okay, for some reason, his channel is not available. This is surprising to me though. Umar Johnson, my goodness, he's the last person I would expect to be endorsing Trump
Whenever you talk about what the black activists in Chicago are going through, whenever you talk about what black people here in New York are complaining about, they'll say, that's MAGA messaging. How is it MAGA messaging?
It's not MAGA messaging. Listen, the bottom line is when Joe Biden got elected, he said he wanted to fast track 4 million undocumented residents to full citizenship. Black people completely ignored it. I spoke on it. I said, do you know why he want to fast track 4 million? Because he know he's not going to do nothing for us. We ain't going to be motivated to vote for him in November. So what he's going to do is have these migrants already set up with citizenship so they can replace the black vote that he loses. The migrants are being put in our communities on purpose, New York and Chicago on purpose, because they are what? The 2 blackest cities in America. They're the 2 largest cities in America. They're the 2 most politically conscious black communities in America. So if we can wash out the black with the brown in New York, if we can wash out the black with the brown in Chicago, Philly don't stand a chance. Atlanta don't stand a chance. LA, Houston, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago don't stand a chance. The migrants are here for 3 reasons. Replace us at the polls, replace us at the low-end industry jobs, right? See, when Donald Trump said during the debate that Joe Biden is taking black jobs and giving them to migrants, he was correct. Although he didn't say it because he cared about us, but he's right. When people say, what do you mean by black jobs? Get out your bougie feelings and deal with the reality. 1/3 of black men have a felony. So there's a lot of jobs they will never qualify for. They are mostly what? Essential workers, warehouse, trucking, security. And a lot of those jobs are going to who? The migrants. So that's what he meant by black jobs. We got to stop being so sensitive and look at the reality of it. I was reading a report the other day. They said the Latinos taking over the construction jobs. They taking them over. And the low industry work, like your gardening, your landscaping, completely taking it over. They're not the enemy. The problem is black people don't get as much opportunity. So then people say, well, you know, white people don't really like brown people like that. That's true. But you know what the difference is? They don't have the burden of accountability with them that they have with us. We built the country. So every time they look at us to deal with us, the bottom line is y'all brought them here and they built y'all into what y'all are. They don't have to say that to the Venezuelans. They don't have to say that to the Colombians. They don't have to say that to the Mexicans. So although they don't like brown, they would much rather deal with them than the black, because with the black, there is a white man's burden that you owe them.
Wow, Mr. Omar is going off. Anyhow, as you can see, I've copied martial law's website link into the chat, so it'll be in the description as well, so that's where you can find him. I'm gonna try once more and see if we can get access to that same video on the Black Conservative Perspectives channel. See if we'll be 10th time lucky or something. Okay, are the gremlins going to continue to plague us? No, don't think this video is available. It's probably been removed or something. Just as interesting. Let me find something current stage of the crusade. Oh, now this is along the similar lines. The fact that, yeah, I mean, they're really struggling to save the campaign on the Dem side. Let's just have a brief look at what
you can't blame them, right? You cannot blame them.
I agree with you, by the way. They cannot skip over Harris, because it would be a monumental admission that she was.
Now, I'll just make a note of the fact that I put out a post earlier this morning, just following up on some breaking news, rumored, unverified, to say that Biden's campaign were drawing up a statement to basically describe and confirm that he'll be stepping down, although he's not going to pass the baton on to Kamala. He's going to remain as president right up until the election, and probably by the conference, the Democratic Party conference, they will be opening the floor up to suitable candidates to go against President Trump and compete for this up and coming election. Now, Biden up until now has almost sworn that he's not going anywhere. He's in there till the end. It's ride or, you know what the other word is. And I don't know, this could be the dramatic news that will be confirmed in the coming days, and he may actually decide to throw in the towel. Obama, in the background, they report, has been asking him to step down, and other powerful people, the ones who fuel the campaign. In the last month, the Dems raised 25 million, I've been told, and Trump has in comparison, raised 400 million. So if the financiers decide to pull the plug on Biden, it may not be up to him to continue on. So we'll watch the space and see what happens.
Doesn't qualify when they picked her in the first place. They have to go to Harris. They have to go to Harris.
But here's my question.
But let me tell you what you're going to. The idea that you're going to something a little better. I mean, if it's a little, it's by a smidge. I mean, her approval rating right now is about 38%. Not much different than Joe Biden, and she would be tied to the worst and most unpopular parts of the Biden agenda. Let me ask you guys a question. What about Kamala Harris's forays into presidential politics has convinced any of you that this would be anything other than a huge dumpster fire? When she ran for president, it was the literal worst. Her high water mark was...
I covered her in 2020.
It was awful. And now her vice presidency has been awful. What about this?
I covered her in 2020. His ticket.
I feel like I need to take up for the president here.
Yes. Do it, Scott.
Because he won millions upon millions of votes.
Yes, he did.
To earn the Democratic nomination. And I just find it delicious that the Party of Democracy is now organizing a coup against the sitting president of the United States.
It's very telling that that is the talking point.
It's betrayal.
Though from Republicans,
Yeah,
they are sticking up for the the democratic process,
of course,
the right of voters to. But they want Joe Biden in this race. The Trump campaign wants Joe Biden in this.
Yeah,
race.
despite what every time Karen and I are on TV, she says, "Well, I heard this was getting 5 points for Joe, but if everything you said was true, he'd be ahead 100-0." I mean, why is Donald Trump winning? Because Joe Biden has a.
Does Joe Biden really have the final say on whether he's going to hang on in and fight this battle for right up until November for the seat of being president again? Or are there movers and shakers in the background that really determine who's going to be on the other side of the campaign opposing Trump? It'll become clearer by the day, I guess.
Terrible approval rating, A. So the results of the presidency are already, people lost confidence in that. And B, now everybody knows he's not even capable of being president today, let alone for 4 more years. No Project 2025 malarkey is going to change any of that. The contours of the race are set.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the Democrat Party Civil War, which is my favorite topic, if you guys couldn't tell, because the Democrat Party is on a one-way trip towards destruction. And the reason why is because of Trump derangement. It's kind of funny to me because Democrats have made the argument for years that Republicans need to abandon Trump because Trump will destroy the Republican Party. Well, it turns out that Trump derangement is destroying the Democrat Party, right? Maybe if the Democrat Party wasn't so Trump deranged, they wouldn't be destroying themselves right now, which is essentially what they're doing, okay? Mutually assured destruction is happening in the Democrat Party because Democrats are coming out against Joe Biden one by one and saying that, hey, he needs to step down. And their argument for this is that, well, Biden can't beat Trump, okay? Biden can't beat Trump, according to them. So it went from vote for Joe Biden to save democracy to overthrow Joe Biden, stage a coup against Joe Biden to save democracy, right? You see how that works? Okay. If you vote for whatever puppet that the Democrats eventually place Joe Biden with, then you are a special kind of stupid, right? I'm here to tell you because quote unquote saving democracy has nothing to do with actually saving democracy, saving your right to vote or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with saving their power. Okay. So again, if you guys just replace democracy with Democrat power, it all makes sense. Okay. It went.
On both sides, I've been seeing people lining up for future jobs, future cabinet positions, who can get the closest to the next potential president, or who's going to stick on the ride or die message on the Biden side. And fingers crossed that he returns for another 4 years and they get a high up position in his cabinet. It's a casino move. So, on Trump's side, some of the people, the Nikki Haley's and others who, during the earlier during the earlier stages of things, were gunning against him. You know, they thought that seat would be theirs. They were calling him every name under the sun and the sea. Now it's like, Trump, we support him. He's the best choice for our president, our leader. It's common sense. I mean, you know, some of them are young enough to go again in future years. For now, their best shot is to get a strong cabinet position in the Trump administration, if he does in fact get back in, and same on the Biden sides. It's a real funny stage show to watch. It reminds me of the British, well, not just British, the European monarchy system, tongue-tied, monarchy system, whereby you'll have the people closest to the king or queen, and you'll have the royal court, and the closer you are, the more powerful you are. The more you've got the ear of the leader, the more others fear you, the more others look to you if they need favors done. So the rawness of the brutal, you know, daggers at dawn, backstabbing and chess game political maneuvers that goes on at that level of power play, it really does remind me of the medieval going forward Henry VIII, Queen Elizabeth, not the last Queen Elizabeth, I mean the one, you know, many centuries ago, of how they managed their royal court. It was all about closeness to the throne, and it kind of likens things to the fictional Game of Thrones as well. So there's no difference. Modern day politics, US or UK, European, same thing. Who can be on the surface as nice as humanity's expressions can allow, where behind the scenes, for many reasons, who can be the darkest and most brutal to do what has to be done, whatever needs to be done to get into that spot. It takes a certain type of person, I think, and most of us, we couldn't even breathe in that direction. I believe politics is ultimately a ruthless arena to navigate within. Just to lighten it, we'll come back to
from
YouTube,
vote for Joe Biden to save Democrat power, right? To now stage a coup against Joe Biden to save Democrat power. Now there are no contradictions, right? It all really makes sense because it's always been about power and control. And again, this is why Democrats are coming out in full force and calling for Joe Biden to step down, while at the same time telling him that he can't beat Trump, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that because Democrats continue to say it, they're essentially making it highly unlikely that Joe Biden can beat Trump, or less likely that Joe Biden can beat Trump, because they've already let the genie out of the bottle and said that, hey, well, we don't.
Also, the way I'm hearing it, if the Democrats were to change their candidate at this late stage in the day, not only is it a risk on their side, it's also a challenge to the Trump group, from the point of view that they know who they're dealing with. With Biden, it's a quantifiable situation. If they were to bring in somebody else, and nobody knows who that's likely to be at this point in time, they have to recalibrate. And who knows what challenges that will introduce to the race for both sides of the coin.
Have confidence in Joe Biden, right? We don't have confidence in him. So I'm not entirely sure how you can tell people to vote for Joe Biden if he chooses to stay in the race, okay? But again, Democrats, they're coming out in droves. And again, they are staging this coup against Joe Biden. And Joe Biden has dug in. And as of right now, he's not resigning, at least not yet.
There's no way to go now to say I considered. I mean, it's humiliating. There's no way around it if that's what happens. I mean, Abby, to that point, Democrats have done a really good job of shooting at their own nominee. A horrible reference. I shouldn't have used those words. But they have been. That's where the fire's been coming from. How much longer can it go on?
Well, if you're one of the Democrats who feels incredibly vulnerable right now electorally in terms of the fundraising, you want this to end in the next couple of days because the clock is ticking to the convention. That's really the time frame that people who want another nominee, they think that they have to get this done really in the next week in order to have a shot at a process going into the convention. But if you are Joe Biden, you think you actually need to just hold out until the convention when he becomes, actually not even then, they're going to have a roll call vote that would make him the official nominee in just a matter of a few days, actually. And I think Biden sees the timeline very differently. He sees between now and the convention as a relatively short period of time where he can push back on these calls. But for the Democrats who are in these tough races, the Sherrod Browns of the world, they really are putting on the pressure now because really this next week is a crucial window if it's going to be someone else.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that, okay? Most of the focus is on what Democrats in Congress want, okay? Which Democrats want Joe Biden to step down? Which Democrats want Joe Biden to stay, okay? As they stage a coup against the man, right? To get him out of office. But nobody's focused on what the voters want, okay? And when you actually talk to the voters, it seems as if they don't really know what they want, which in my opinion is the worst case scenario for the Democrats. And it's basically going to guarantee that there is a disaster if Democrats decide to move forward with this coup against Joe Biden and having an open convention. Okay. In my opinion, it will be a disaster, right? It's like a slow moving car crash is happening to the Democrat Party right now. And speaking of car crashes, you want to make sure that you have proper representation if you happen to get injured in a car crash or an accident. That is why the sponsor of this video is Morgan & Morgan. Guys, I've been injured in a motor vehicle accident. You've probably been injured in a motor vehicle accident, or somebody has a large
between. A lot of you will have seen ACT, but not tried it.
Bear with me again.
Just to step aside, which I think is his choice, then Harris is next in line. I would hate to see that process circumvented.
I think we hear Kamala Harris. I don't know that she can win, though, which is
I don't think there's
sad.
a lot of people.
I wish I could give you a name, but as well, I don't know.
Maybe Gavin Newsom, maybe.
I think their best chance at that would be Andy Bashir.
Wow.
Joining me now, Frank Luntz. This is not very good news if you are the Biden-Harris ticket, that they are not just undecided. They don't want anyone.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible news, right? It's absolutely terrible. Again, this is why an open convention is going to be a disaster, right? This is why, low-key, I'm hoping that they do this, right? I'm hoping they go through this whole process for multiple reasons, right? One, again, it's going to destroy the Democrat Party. Two, it's essentially going to make sure that any candidate that actually does survive and comes out as a nominee, yeah, they are going to have a hard time getting the support of all the salty individuals who are upset that their candidate wasn't chosen, right? The Kamala coalition, Joe Biden, if he unwillingly steps aside, if they legitimately make Joe Biden step aside without him actually wanting to do so, yeah, it's going to be an absolute disaster. And again, the main reason is because voters aren't even unified in who they want, which is a product of the Democrat Party not having a primary, right? This is the whole point of having a primary. If Democrats would have had a primary fair and square, like they should have, then this would be an issue. This would be an issue at all, because you would know who would be the best candidate to take over, at least considering who the people voted for, right? You would already know. But now you have a bunch of voters, undecided voters, who are saying, well, I don't know if Joe Biden should step down, but if he does step down, they have no clue who they should rally behind, right? No clue whatsoever. And again, the funny part about this is that all of this is happening because of Trump derangement. And Democrats now, they're going to have to double and triple down on it, because now they have to go out and tell people that, well, hey, you might not know who Andy Bashir is, or Josh Shapiro is, or Gretchen Whitmer is, or Gavin Newsom is, but, you know, they're better than Trump. Trust us. Right? Trump terrible, Trump bad. Okay? This is what they're going to do. And I'm hoping that the American people don't fall for it, right? Because again, as you just saw, clearly the voters have no clue who they want. A lot of them probably don't even know who these candidates are that the Democrats are going to put up. So the trust is not going to be there. But what they're going to do is that they're going to double and triple down on the derangement. What the media is going to do is that they're going to essentially pretend like the next Democrat Party nominee is like the second coming of Christ, right? This is what they're going to pretend like. They're going to have some coronation. They're going to say that he's the guy that can defeat Trump, or woman that can defeat Trump. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to pretend like he's God's gift to earth, right? And they're going to lie about his record. That's what they'll do. But I think in the process of getting to that point, the Democrat Party will be in such shambles that it won't matter, okay? Because they're all undecided, right? They're undecided. They don't know. And when your party doesn't know, when they're not on the same page, and then, again, you're having this contentious convention where you have a lot of people that are going to be upset because you're skipping the person that a lot of people believe should be the next up, which is Kamala Harris. Yeah, that's a one-way trip towards disaster. And at this point, Joe Biden staying in the race is not really about winning, because I don't think that Biden can win. And the reason is because Democrats have damaged him too much. Can you guys imagine in November, Democrats trying to tell voters, hey, vote for Joe Biden, even though we told you guys we don't believe he's qualified, right? We don't believe he should actually be president. So they can't take that back. So Joe Biden standing in a race, it's not about winning, because I don't think he can win. I legitimately do not believe that Biden can win. I don't think it's possible. It's going to be about mutually assured destruction. Democrats coming out the way that they have against Joe Biden is them hitting the nuke button on the Biden administration. They know that if Biden stays in, that he won't be able to win because of their criticism. And Biden knows that. So Biden staying in is him basically saying, well, hey, mutually assured destruction. If I go down, we're all going down. Right? That's essentially what's going to happen to the party if Biden stays in. And he knows that. He knows that. It's really about getting back at Democrats. Biden saying, I don't care if I let Trump win. You guys are not just going to overthrow me like this. I'm going to stay in the race. It doesn't matter. Which, again, is hilarious, right? It really is. So that's what the Democrats are headed towards. It really is just bad options all around at this point.
And you're correct that it is Biden and Harris. And they basically want a new beginning. They want a new start. This session was very hostile to Donald Trump and his personal behavior, the things that he says and how he says it. But they were very disappointed in Joe Biden. They were shocked. That debate is going to go down in history as being the most consequential moment since the debate between Kennedy and Nixon in 1960. It really did change minds. They were not hostile to Joe Biden going in, but they became hostile when he came out. And Harris hasn't done anything to prove that she should be the heir apparent.
What do they think of the Trump speech last night? Because obviously they didn't harbor ill will before. Did they find that speech unifying enough to say, well, if this is the ticket, I'll go the other way?
So I always want to get it right, and I want to acknowledge I got it wrong last night, that I didn't realize how hostile they were to how long Trump went, to the language that he used. His teleprompter speech, wonderful. What he actually delivered, all the impromptu, was not so positive.
I want to hear what they told you. Let's listen to this.
Show of hands, how many of you would give Donald Trump's speech an A?
Much as I like this channel, let's have a
One.
last glance
How
around
many give him a B?
YouTube and see if
1,
there's
2, 3.
anything that we
How many of you
really
give him a
wanna
C?
look at before we close.
And that's where you get everyone. Who would give him a D?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3 of you, 4 of you. And who would give him an F?
I don't know if any of you noticed, some of the commentators were saying Trump's on the CNNs and MSNBCs, etc., were saying Trump's RNC rally statement was boring, it went on too long, this, that, and the other. I'm not sure. Okay. Yes, this has caught my attention. Yes, see what our friend here.
Now, some breaking news from Joy Reid, considered by many the looniest of lefties at MSNBC, and that is no small feat. Here is Joy discovering that summer is actually hot. Next, she'll tell me water is wet.
Of climate collapse and the greed that is literally letting our country burn. Today, millions of Americans from Iowa to Maine are suffering through heat warnings, watches, or advisories. Cities across half of the country, like Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Detroit, Philly, and now New York, are hitting temperatures exceeding 90 degrees Fahrenheit, though it feels closer to 100. Many of these cities could experience heat indexes hitting 105 degrees by Sunday. These increasingly oppressive hot days aren't a coincidence. They are the predictable impact of the climate crisis. And they're not just an inconvenience, they're also killing us.
Now,
very informative. Here goes our good old friend Whoopi. Whoopi Goldberg, something is not something. Oh, this could be interesting.
A thing that just kind of hit me in the gut, that you were in some ways, even though you're still grieving your mom and your brother, part of you was glad that your mom didn't see Trump's presidency.
No. I think she would not have been able to handle this, nor my brother. We are barely handling it.
Right.
But my belief is that as much as we like to test ourselves and see how far we can go, fascism is not something we should be fooling with in this country.
Totally.
You know,
everyone loses.
Everybody loses, and it's not good for anyone. And it's not good for poor folks. It is not good for y'all because you become slave fodder. It's not a good thing. It's not good for women because you are now being told and dictated to, and you can't say anything because they, you know, throw you in a jail or whatever.
A thing that just.
I've been a fan of Whoopi for a very long time, since Sister Act and before. Although recently, I don't know, she some of her statements do baffle me. Well, we're gonna close on, even they respect this. Mark Zuckerberg praises something. Now this is really strange. Mark Zuckerberg completely in the pocket and on the side of the more left-leaning Biden regime, folks, should we say, as long as I can recall. But now it seems to have swum over to the cult of Donald Trump. Very interesting. See what he's got to say. Again, back with the black conservative perspective, and see what
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time, and that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now, look, I mean, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. I mean, the historic events over the last, over the weekend, and I mean, on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But look, I mean, it's, and I think, look, it's, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
And they keep saying, he's a threat to democracy. I'm saying, what the hell did I do for democracy? Last week, I took a bullet for democracy. What did I do against democracy?
Oh, well, crazy. I can't really argue that.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about some reactions to Trump being shot last week, as you have some unlikely characters coming out in the woodwork and recognizing that Trump was in fact shot and that it was a badass moment. Like, for example, that is what Mark Zuckerberg said. You guys saw that at the beginning of the video. And Mark Zuckerberg, I do not think is a fan of Trump at all, considering how his platform, Facebook, has been weaponized against Trump, and Instagram as well, too, in order to try to affect the outcome of the election. So clearly this guy is not a Trump fan. So for him to come out here and to say that, hey, that was a badass moment, right? I think really says a lot about what the moment was and how iconic moment was, okay? And we got to talk about another character who I also don't believe is necessarily a Trump fan, even though I do think there are some parts of the Trump agenda that he likes, which is Mr. Tariq Nasheed, who is the leader of the so-called FBAs, right? On his live stream, he is going to react to what happened to Trump. And I think this is important because people like him and his reaction, I think, is probably going to be representative of how a lot of people are seeing this that are not extremely Trump deranged, like actual normal people who may not necessarily like Trump per se, or they might not be voting for Trump, but they're like, I'm open to it, right? I'm not scared of voting for Trump because the liberal media says, oh, I can't vote for Trump, okay? Because, again, you have a lot of people out here that are essentially pushing conspiracies about what happened with Trump's ears. Some people going as far as to say that it was staged, and some people saying he didn't really get shot. I mean,
MSNBC have been saying it was one of those what do they call it? Like a blood pack or something that they use in Hollywood, stories like that. Well, they'll have to come with some more solid proof than just speculation and words. We'll see.
They're obsessed with this. The liberal media, they're obsessed with it.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected.
And this is just coming from a perspective and a point of concern. She shows her humanity again. I'm not just trying to take the mickey, so excuse me.
You know, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why?
It hasn't really rated gangbusters at all, and there is the sense that...
Oh, what made me laugh was when I saw the super fans, the Trump super fans, in the audience at the RNC with these square bandages things on their ear. They're really extreme over there in the States.
Donald Trump is trying to juice the ratings by trying to be there in person every night with his ostentatious, bandage on his ear, which is being repeated by people in the audience. And they played things like, his favorite YMCA has been one of the songs they love to play. But they also played yesterday when he walked on his walk-on song. It's a man's world.
It's a man's world. And
the media, Maria, doesn't really trust the injury. They think Trump might be making this up. Here is MSNBC talking about, I guess, what we're calling Eargate. Listen.
And yet we've not received a medical report from the hospital, nor have we received a medical report from the campaign or from the Trump organization about the extent of the damage to his ear. If he was shot by a high caliber bullet, there should probably be very little ear there. And so we'd like to know that. Is there cosmetic?
What a play on words. Very little ear there. They're good. He's
cosmetic surgery involved? What is the prognosis for recovery? Were there stitches? What is the extent and nature of the damage to his ear? So there are a lot of questions around that ear, and yet there's been no response to that. Instead, just showing the image of the man.
You know what I reckon? With this amount of concern, they really want to, and them being in politics and such, American politics, they really want to hold an hearing about this. I mean, hearing, excuse me.
Coming into the hall with the wounded ear.
So MSNBC wants to see Trump's medical records, but not Biden's.
That is just incredible. Look, Jesse, I think that the media is so tangled up with this narrative that they've been driving since he came down the escalator in 2015. They can't get out of themselves. They can't get out of this entanglement. And the momentum here and the momentum for the Republicans beginning.
On a human level, if you dislike somebody and then it grows to form the emotion of hate and it bypasses the logical part of the brain, and you surround yourself with like-minded thinkers and you feed this energy, and then you try to push against it, and for whatever reason, wrongly or rightly, you come out on the losing side. So it builds the resentment, the anger, all of those negative ingredients bubbling up in the cauldron. And then something like this happens and the guy walks away like an elevated superhero. It's just like you're punching him, but he's not feeling a thing. Where'd you go? I empathize with him. It's a very painful period. I mean, the hardcore anti-Trump personalities are going through, so I get it.
Here, and really, as we've seen the unity get stronger and stronger, is overwhelming them. They don't know how to deal with it, and they don't want to get away from this narrative of hating Donald Trump.
Look, let me just clarify one thing at this stage. Personally, I would just like to see the best person for the country get that top job. I mean, I look at some of the reports coming out of the black community at times. In the midterms, you had Ice Cube was running a campaign, and he took a lot of flack from the pro-blacks for the fact that he was going to arrange a meeting, or he arranged a meeting with Trump, and that's a no on their side of town. And basically his motivation was he's trying to develop certain projects in the black community all over the States, draw investment, use his celebrity to attract investors, people who want to do something for what he sees as his community. So he's going to, whoever's going to have that pen could sign things off and bring investment. So the Biden people were saying, so we're really busy, we're overengaged, come and talk to us after the election. But quietly they're saying, give us your vote and bring your pals along to vote for us. And he sort of wisened up to that. He said, listen, I contacted the Trump people and they said, yeah, we'll set up a meeting. Come in, we'll sit down and talk to you. Yes, hear your ideas. So you're telling me he's going to shut the door to that and just roll the dice on something that's neither here nor there as far as guarantees. As far as I believe he sees his role is he wants to get something for his community and use his voice to push for that. So if Biden's going to give it to him, he'll talk to Biden. If Trump's going to give it to him, he'll talk to Trump. So I don't really get that thing about you're doing quite well in life. You may have worked hard for it. You're a celebrity. Don't worry about the people who are still struggling when you're in a position to just kind of be a voice for them. For political reasons, you're going to keep quiet and let one side, do an uneven exchange. We want your vote. We're not necessarily going to give you anything for it. From what he said, if they want the vote from his community, he wants to see who's putting what on the table and do a fair exchange, like for like. Makes sense. He got a lot of pushback. He was virtually cancelled. So, yeah, you say he was a year or two ahead of time, because right now, I think there's a lot of that reevaluating going on in the black community. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Me personally, like I said, I haven't got that much skin in the game. I go by views, facts, and information and try and weigh it up. It might move more this way one day, move more that way the other day, if the information, takes me in that direction. That thing about don't believe your lying eyes and ignore what you hear as far as what the media wants you to accept. Nah.
Trump, so much.
If turning on the television makes you sigh and feel a bit gloomy, then...
Yeah, so hatred for Trump, right? I think that's kind of the key that is driving a lot of the delusions and the conspiracies around Trump's ear from the mainstream liberal media and the left. But again, I think that it's fascinating to listen to people like Tariq Nasheed talk about this because, again, I'm not a fan of Tariq Nasheed and some of the racial division that he pushes, but I got to give a guy credit where credit is due when he comes out with a pretty solid take, pushing back against some of these loonies that are basically saying that it was staged or that Trump didn't really get shot. Regardless of what you think, it was a pretty badass moment, so to speak, and I think this is a pretty interesting clip here.
Ear bleeding. Trump ate that. Trump solidified his position back in the White. He's going back in the White House. That wasn't staged. That wasn't staged. Some of the Biden fans, I hate to, y'all trying to come up with all of these coping mechanisms. That thing popped him in the ear.
Really?
Dude, and didn't assassinate him. He didn't die. Boy, do y'all understand what that has done? That has created an almost divine intervention around Trump now. So that's going to really, really galvanize his base.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I do.
Now, this is what I was saying, and this is where I kind of sway slightly in the spiritual direction with the belief that if you do enough bad against somebody or something, even if at the root of it you believe your cause is good and righteous, it generally doesn't work out well for the doer of the said bad.
It was divine intervention, right? I mean, I'm still shocked, right? I'm still in shock, literally, from what happened and how close Trump was to being killed, to not being here, right? So I personally believe, considering all the things that Trump has survived, right? Look where we were at the beginning of this year, guys. We were looking.
if he feels shocked and others are feeling shocked, can you imagine how it sunk? And then for Trump, what he's experiencing now, second lease of life.
Trump being taken off the ballot. We were looking at him potentially being in jail. I mean, you had 3 or 4 major legal obstacles that could have stopped Trump from being the candidate. None of these things have worked, right? The one conviction that Democrats got is the conviction that nobody cares about. And it looks like we probably won't even see a sentencing on that before the election. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But all of the things that have happened since January 6th have not necessarily been in Trump's favor, but going into the 2024 election, things are massively in his favor. And I don't have an explanation for that outside of divine intervention because it's just so unlikely, right? Not one thing that the Democrats have thrown against Trump has worked. So yeah, it does create a divine aura around Trump in the sense that it's almost as if this is meant to be, right? What is happening for a reason, okay? And that momentum certainly is going to help Trump in the election for certain.
Also, the fact that they're trying to take him out is further solidifying his base because they didn't try to put them charges on him. That didn't really slow him down. Somebody tried to assassinate him. So it looks like some people are desperate to get him out of the White House. It looks very desperate.
Out of the way.
It looks extremely desperate, which is going to make more people galvanized to support him. Y'all, you can say it's staged if you want to. Him getting back in the White House in November ain't gonna be staged. You can say that and cope all you want to. Let me tell you something. That Trump took that bullet and up there giving the fist. He was using some of the Black Power fists.
At this moment, I'd like to just make a quick point. You see, you could not see eye to eye with somebody for a long period of time and disagree with many of their comments, statements, and how they generally come across and behave. And there could be that one time when they make a statement and there's nothing you could disagree with or argue with that point. This is one of those moments with Mr. Tariq Nasheed.
Giving up the fist, fight, raising his fist and all of that. Trump he took that shot like Tony Montana in Scarface. He took that shot like Tony Montana in Scarface.
And even if he didn't get shot, right? Let's say he wasn't actually shot, which is what the mainstream liberal media is pushing out there. The fact that he was being shot at, and as he's being shot at, I don't think he knew that the shot stopped, right? As he's being shot at, potentially under attack, the dude raises his fist up to the crowd to let him know, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm going to keep fighting. Again,
show goes on.
You can't deny
the fight continues.
The iconic moment that was. You can't even, again, look at this guy. This guy treating shit. I don't think he's the biggest fan of Trump or conservatives, even though I would argue if you actually listen.
Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed are two of the last fairly big name activist online social media pro-blacks who I ever thought I'd wake up and hear them say something even drifting in the direction of being an honest statement in support of something Donald Trump has done. Tectonic plates are moving. These are different times. Most definitely. Mark my word.
To people like him talk, his commentary, he tends to lean a lot more conservative outside of some of the racial issues, right? The reparations thing is his big thing. So because of that, I don't think it will ever work out between these types of people in the Republican Party. But regardless, if you take that out of it, right, you can't deny what it was, what you saw, right? You don't have to be a fan of Trump. You don't have to like Trump. You don't have to vote for Trump to understand what happened to him and how he reacted in that moment, the type of leadership that it shows. And when people say, well, why are black men galvanized by Trump or why are they moving towards Trump? It's because of moments like that. It's not just because, he got shot or whatever. No, it's because of the way he reacted to it. Okay. In fact, I had a family member tell me yesterday, actually, he said that, yeah, all the people in the hood, right? All the N-words in the hood. That's what he actually said, right? He said, yeah, they all are supporting Trump now because they're like, yo, Trump took a bullet and he did not like a bitch. Like, that's quite literally what he told me, word for word, right? He said, because Trump did not like a bitch. Again, that's just what he said. Know. But again, because the way Trump responded, that gave Trump a lot of street cred, so to speak, right? Most people know, okay, this guy's a real one, right? He's a real N-word, right?
Buy into street cred.
More specifically. So, this is why you have so many people that are so deranged, specifically these pro-blackity blacks in the media, right? The pro-black liberals, so to speak. This is why they're so pissed off, because they know that real N-words, right, respect the way that Trump reacted to being shot at, right? To being...
Most definitely. And on that note, I'd like to start moving towards drawing to a close. And let's say the usual mantra at this pause or part of the proceedings. Thank you very much. Big shout out again to martial law at the early part of the show for showing support, bringing forward some good clips, good knowledge and information, and guiding us through some what at times could be seen as controversial conspiracy type ideas. Although when you look at the facts intermingled within the narrative, you can always pull out the truth, at least, something that rings true to you. So thanks again to martial law. I'm hoping to get him on the show, on one of the lives, one of the one-to-ones, so we can talk to him about what he does and some of his views on health, life, UK, American politics, music, because I know him from that arena, and many other subjects. And hopefully I'll be able to get more interaction as these live streams grow and get more opinions involved. So like I said at the beginning, you're not just stuck with my 2 pennies worth. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you want to support the channel. Comment, feel free to get your expression out there, and I'll respond to you as soon as I can. As usual, be good, be safe, be creative. CornerSpeak, we out.